It's your birthday. All right. Welcome, Lola Manuel Williams, to the show once again. This is our fourth week together. We do have the other uh, guests who will join us shortly. Our Akin Benjamin in Nigeria is still having network issues. If he's able to join, he will join us. Uh, Dr. Monica Caffey is on her way to the studio, and will she'll join us later. But you're here and I'm here, so we can have the show. And the rest of you at home, I hope that you log on, text your friend, tell them that we're on. This is when we talk about educators' wellness. And we have done 4 weeks already.
We
We've done
have.
4 weeks, right? And how have you, well, the past 3 weeks, how have you enjoyed the show?
It's been interesting. I mean, it's the first time I've ever done a live. So,
Really? I
yeah,
feel
I'm
honored.
often quite shy, camera shy. But no, I mean, it's been absolutely informative. I've learned a lot um, from that Dr. Kathy and yourself. And I think we will never finish learning. I think we will always be learners. So there's always one thing or the other that we can improve on, one thing or the other that we can pick up and we can learn from our colleagues. Even the comments, are very helpful. The other thing is that it's good to know that around the world, the same problems we face wherever we are is experienced by every single educator. So we're not
Absolutely.
alone. We're just definitely not alone. And that in itself is very comforting to know that these problems are worldwide and that we can seek solutions from each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I love what you said about we are all experiencing the same pain. We're all experiencing the same joys at some point. So it's not everything is painful. I mean, there's to be joys, which is what today's about. We want to talk about the teachers or the educators' legacy. You can't have a legacy if you are in the throes of trauma all through your teaching career or your administrative career in education, or however you are involved in academia. And so we want to talk about what does it look like to live a legacy. There's no point teaching or in being classroom or leading a school for 20, 30 years and you end up just tired and dejected and just feeling like I've wasted my time, because that's not good mental health. When we talk about mental health, let me just clarify this. When we talk about mental wellness, I always like to use the word mental wellness, although it's the same thing as mental health. So when we talk about mental wellness or mental health, we're not talking about mental illness, because people always think that's what we're focusing on. Mental
Right.
health mental health just literally means that you are emotionally healthy, you're psychologically well, you're socially connected and relevant. Mental wellness for us is that all areas of your life is functioning well. So financially, relationships, spiritually, all areas of your lives, it's functioning well. So as an educator, we want to focus on today. That's what can you tweak? What can you do to leave a legacy? And what is a legacy? So when I talk about legacy, Lola, what comes to your mind?
I mean, what comes to my mind is really what do you want to look back on? What do you want to say? Well, I was quite good at that. I achieved this. What is your goal? What do you want to look back on and be grateful that you actually did? What
Yeah,
do you want to leave behind for your students? What do you want your students to gain and to benefit from you? What do you want your parents to benefit from you? I mean, legacy is a big word, and often we use it for people who have who have passed on, who have died, and we say, "Oh, your legacy, lives on." And but for us, for the educators, we are doing so much every single day that we hope that it is for a purpose. So legacy, in that sense, then, is for a purpose. What are we doing all of this for? What do we
Mm,
hope to gain out of it?
mm, absolutely. I was looking at the at dictionary definitions. And by the way, I'm here with Miss Lola Manuel Williams, and I want all of you to, call your friends, get up, educators, wherever you are around the globe. Let's participate in this. This is our last. This is our last broadcast for this particular focus. We'll come back again maybe in a couple of weeks or so, and we'll start another one. But right now, this is our last one. Call everyone that is a part of your network. Tell them to join the show. We want to hear from you. What's your legacy as an educator? How do you want to be remembered, or how are you being remembered in your classrooms? One of the beautiful things that I like about being a teacher, I've taught middle school. I did some high school at some point, but I'm now a professor. But however, it is always heartwarming when you hear that your students are doing well, or when
Yes.
you run, or when you run into them at the store or someplace, and they tell you their stories of
Mhm.
victory or their stories of success, and then you feel, I remember walking into Target one day, and this particular Target, and one of my old students was the manager there, and so she saw me and she runs and she was like, oh my God, we've been looking for you. So she's like, I said, who are you all been looking for? She said, our whole entire group, we've been looking for you, and she was telling me, about the stories. That's a legacy in some ways.
Yes.
That is what we're talking about, is
Yes.
what you leave behind. Legacy is what you leave behind. Everybody
Mhm.
has a scent. What do you leave behind? What is your scent? What is the aroma that you leave behind in your classroom? Are you the kind of educator that people don't want to be around? And are you the kind of educator that people run away from? So these are some things that we really need to look at. And if you are throes in the throes of trauma or some kind of high stress that you haven't dealt with, you're going to find that you will hurt the people around you. You're
Correct.
going to leave an aroma that is not pleasing. You're going to leave
Correct.
a scent that is not pleasing to anybody. So this is
Mhm.
why this forum is so important, that we become educators that leave beautiful scents around us because of what we've done, because of what we are, because of who we are. Does that make sense? So we
Yes.
have these children sometimes and you can relate to this. We have children who come, and this can happen from early childhood to fourth year in college. This happens. Who are broken, who come from homes that might be damaged in different ways. And sometimes that's the only chance you have to
Correct.
change a life.
That's
I
right.
cannot tell you how many times I've seen clients will say, look, a teacher said this to me, an educator said that to me, and it impacted my life, either for the good or for the worse, right?
Right.
And so today's topic, I'm really excited about it. Uh, I'll tell you how I came about it too. So I watch Turkish shows. This is now my thing, and there's a show called Emanet, which translates as legacy. So in that particular culture, when somebody is entrusted to you, so when somebody is entrusted to you, that person becomes that's the legacy. So you take that person on as if they're yours, right?
Mhm.
So the legacy. So these children, or the students that come to school, they've been entrusted to us. Okay, so that's where legacy comes from today.
Right.
Miss Manuel Williams, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a brilliant topic, and probably you've left the best for last because I mean we work so hard. All our educators, our teachers, our paraprofessionals or assistant teachers, our unqualified volunteers. We all work so hard, our administrators, our directors, our principals, our head teachers. We all work so hard to see that children reach their full potential. We work with the children who have special educational needs. We work with children who are geniuses, who are talented.
Yeah.
We stretch and we challenge children to reach their full potential. We do so much. We carry marking home and grading,
Yeah.
sleep and wake up with the same piece of paper you went to bed with.
Yep.
We mark through the night. We rush to meet deadlines. We meet parents. We do reports. We do schemes of work and
Man, you're
lesson
getting me
plans.
tired just talking
I
about it.
mean, we just go on and on and on, and it never switches off for some of us, or for most people who work in this industry. And so it's important to know that it's for a purpose. It will yield fruit. It will bring forth the best outcome, not just for the children, but for yourself. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end of this, you can say, well, I'm a retired teacher, but I never really retire, because you're going to keep on teaching.
Absolutely.
Your legacy has to be joyful. It has
Mm,
to end with success, with the best
mm,
outcome for children, uh,
absolutely.
and for the students you're with. I happen to love giving birth to leaders. I just
Mm,
I
I love that.
found that route on my journey as an educator, where
Mm,
I just found that I love to go into a place and look at the teachers or look at the staff members and say, this person has some really good skills that if you hone in on that, that's your next leader. Train that
mm.
person up.
Oh, yeah.
Leave a place better than you met it. And so what I find is that, and this is true in every place that I've worked in, is that I always leave with another person who has been trained up to take my senior or leadership position. That's
Absolutely.
my legacy. So everywhere I go, my whole goal is to look for leaders, train, leave, go, and look for more leaders, train, leave, go. So you're just giving birth to leaders throughout. I have several testimonies where I can say my own students are now in my own positions, my own shoes. So I have particular students who are now heads of department when I was their head of department. I have students who I have said to, I see you as a teacher, I see you as a leader in the next 5 years. And those students, when I meet up with them now, they are what I said they could be.
Mm,
You have students who you never thought, when you first meet them, you think, oh, you definitely can't go to college. You're not college material. But then you find out that they actually have a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for learning. And so you invest in them. And that investment is not always sweet roses. Sometimes it comes with tears. Sometimes it comes with
mm.
frustrations and anxiety and anger and all kinds of different emotions. But they yield, because those same students say, I was inspired by how you taught me, by how you believed in me. And today I am what I am because of what you put inside of me.
Oh,
So
yeah.
legacy is very powerful. And I think for our educators to remind them, what you're doing is not in vain. Sometimes
Mm,
you see the results right away and you're just thinking, what am I doing here? But you are making an impact on somebody. That impact is quiet, it's working underground, but it will yield fruit. So don't give up on
mm,
students.
mm.
The exam results that come up are not always the evidence of success. Sometimes the success is in the fact that they even took the exam in the first place, because you to them, take
Yeah.
the exam, see how it goes. So they attempted it. That could be the success. So, you
Absolutely.
don't really you don't always see the results of what you're leaving behind right away, but they will come. You are making an impact on a lot of children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you said. Thank you so much for that. I love what you said about finding the leaders around you.
Yeah.
They're lurking. Then you have to find them. You have to train them. You have to empower them. And
Yes.
if and that is your gift to the world. So the first thing we want to talk about today, all educators listening, the one first thing we want to talk about today is, what is your purpose? What is your mission? Like, what are you all about? Don't just go into this field just because it's a job. And if it's just a job for you, listen to the conversation last week, because we talked about job crafting. That would
Correct.
really benefit you. But for those who know that, I've been called to be a teacher, I've been called to be a resource person, I've been called to build a school, I've been called to be an administrator. That's not that, and I, you use the word call. You feel like that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? So if you're that person, and based on what Miss Lola has just said today, one of the things that we want you to identify in your life is your motive. Like, what do you want? What do you want? What's your mission? What is also the outcomes that you want to see? Obviously, you want to see people who are leaders. You want to create leaders. So you're looking for that. So what is yours? And once you can put that down, it's important that you understand and write it down. How do you know what you want? If the AVID, the program in the US called AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination, and that program is for students who will be the first in their family to go to college. And one of their motto is, how can I know what I am thinking if I don't write it down? They're big on writing,
Right.
and so you write it down. Write down. It's like you have those lesson plans, and they have you to write an objective. But you need one for your professional life. You need
Correct.
one for your professional life. You need one for what you're doing, so you're not just wasting time. So you can quantify it once it happens. So you can say, that's measurable. I want to be an educator who empowers leaders, who train
Right.
leaders. So there you go. So when you see it, then you know it has happened, and then you have a pathway. So that's also actually part of job crafting. Here's
It
what I'm
is.
saying. That's, you also
Yes,
crafted
that
this
is
job there,
interesting. Yes,
because
that's
you
right.
could have gone into leadership in another way, but you're an educator who's training educators. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I really appreciate that. And I think every single one of us, to be a successful teacher, to be a educator, I keep saying teacher, to be a successful educator who is going to leave a mark, a legacy. We want everyone on this in our group to be legacy holders, that you are going to leave a legacy, and that actually you are a legacy, and your
Yes.
children, your students are legacies to you. That's another way. That's a mind shift by itself. Like, you are a legacy, and your students are legacy. So they've been entrusted to you. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? And
Yeah.
for you to be the best educator for that school, the best educator for that classroom, you have to be on point. You have
Yeah.
to take care of yourself. And
Absolutely.
and one of the ways to do that is by having a clear objective, a clear mission of why you're here. What do you think about that, Miss Moore?
Yeah, I think, when most people who go into teaching, most of them are going into teaching because they have a passion for helping teachers. Maybe they've had experiences as they were growing up that were not very good, and they wanted to go in and just improve on that so nobody else can go into experiences those failures. But teaching itself is not necessarily financially rewarding as such in many countries, or in many situations. Maybe on the top end of things it could be, but it isn't. So there has to be more than just the financial benefits of going into teaching that keeps you there. That's my opinion. But one of the things that I know for a fact that can keep you going in teaching is when you see your students progress and
Mm-hmm.
you see them successfully making progress. You see them passing their exams. You see them getting into college. You see them graduating. You see them becoming teachers themselves. When you look back and you see those successes, it keeps you going because that in itself is the highest reward that you can get out of this career. So I do think that there is job crafting, yes, but there's also where you have to reflect on your own career and say, what do I need to be a better person?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to be a better professional at what I'm doing? How can I make my craft? How can I make my gift? How can I make my skill the best ever? What do I need to do to do that? And you need to do that as early as you start because you can't
Absolutely.
get, you can't just get to the end and say, oh, I'm really burnt out now. I'm going to retire. You got to keep on reflecting from from the time you start
Mm-hmm.
your career that I need to keep on improving. What do I need? What do I need to keep on being the best I can everywhere I go, anywhere I
Absolutely.
am, with any age range, with any
Absolutely.
team? What do I need to be the best? I think that that's one of the things that has helped me along the way. Hence, I'm known for taking courses. And just you jump on that course, you jump on this course.
Yeah.
You're in a workshop. You're always listening to podcasts or reading research papers, listening to parents, seeking and searching for knowledge and
Yeah.
skills to help make you as robust as possible, as experienced as possible, as knowledgeable and as up to date as possible. So yes, in job crafting, there's also that element of finding out what you need to make sure that you stay relevant in this ever-changing profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you alluded to seasoned teachers. Those have been in the profession for a while, for over 10 years. Okay.
Right.
But I even say over after 5 years, you're seasoned at this point
Yes.
because if you stay, because a lot of people don't stay past year 2 or 3. Um,
Mhm.
and they drop out. But if you're there and you're seasoned, it's easy to get. There's nothing worse than having an educator who was on fire the first 2 years, the first 5 years, and then you see them again in 20 years, and they are so depleted, they don't want to do it anymore, and the things are just not okay with them. We
Right,
don't want
right,
you to be that educator. We do not want any
right.
one of us to be that educator. And
Yeah.
what you have just said is continuously self-reflecting, continuously taking care of yourself. Look, I also want to talk about therapy and counseling. It's not a taboo anymore. We're taking off the mask, okay? And we want everyone to be well. Starting May 1st is mental health awareness month, but we want a mental health awareness year where mental health awareness educators, so that you're taking care of yourself, emotionally, psychologically, socially, spiritually, financially, relationally, in all areas of your life. You are well, so that when you're being in this position, in this career for 20, 30 years, you are still vibrant, and you are
Mhm.
still changing lives, and
Yeah.
you are still leaving legacies. So that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see happen in this field, that we are creating educators who are able to transform lives. But before you can transform lives, that your life is also transformed. So we
Correct.
call them change agents, but they are healers who are healing themselves too. Does that make sense?
It does.
I want us to talk about the second thing I have here is, if you're going to leave a legacy, it just flows with what you just said. It's about positive attitude. You have a positive attitude. There is
Mhm.
something about a paradigm shift, about changing your mind about a situation. Sometimes a situation might not change, and we know that in this field, most sometimes we have to work within systems that are just unwilling to change. And so, what are you going to do? Are you going to be ejected from it, or are you going to be that change element within the system? And one of the ways you can do that is by changing your own perception.
Right.
You have to change your mind about it. So the situation might not change, but you begin to see it differently so that you have a positive attitude. So the students might still be the way they are. Your staff members might still be the way they are, or things might have not changed at all. But you change. You change. So Miss Lola, how can I change if I'm a teacher? Let's talk about a teacher in that classroom with all the students, and I'm not getting really what I want from the administrators. What does it mean to change? What would that look like for me to have a positive attitude about what my job?
Okay, so I did say a bit earlier that, one of the most rewarding things about teaching is the impact that you have on your students. As much as possible, you've got to realize that these are very impressionable children who are looking to you for, support. Some of them, like you said earlier on, it's the only opportunity that they have to feel loved. They come to the school to feel your love, your affection, your care. And so you are more than just a teacher per se. You're more than just somebody with, who's just standing there, just writing things on the board or just correcting, going around correcting. You're more than that. For some teachers, they are actually mothers. They are actually fathers. They're the parents to these children. So once you see past the fact that it's not just about you, it's not just about, whether you're having fun teaching or whether somebody's making you mad somewhere or whether some other teacher has done something. When you can see past that and you can see how these children are looking to you as the role model, they're looking to you as the answers to so many things that are not said, then maybe you would be able to say to yourself, I've got to calm down, leave those problems that I have outside the door. Let me put the children first. Let me make them the center of my provision, the center of my service. And it's not
Absolutely.
always easy to do that because you also have to eat. You have financial problems, you have problems at home. But that time when you're able to put the child at the center of your provision is going to be the one thing that changes you. In fact, whenever I have felt like walking away from
Mm,
situations in,
yeah.
in different jobs, it is the child that has kept me there. I
Yeah.
don't know, are they going to have the best teachers to help them see them through the next set of exams? I need to finish these children off. I need to make sure they graduate before I leave. I can't leave midway. I can't do this. I can't do this. And it has often been the reason for me staying is for
Mm,
the child, for the learner who is
absolutely.
dependent on you for their success. So
Absolutely.
I think where you start is really your mindset, bringing
Mindset.
yourself to a point where you can see that this is not just about money, it's not just about your salary at the end of the day, it is higher than that.
Mm,
Lives depend on you in teaching.
mm,
Your lives depend on you in teaching. And it's a high thing to ask. It's a very high, sacrifice to ask, but that's what teaching is. It's a sacrifice. You know,
hey,
it's a huge sacrifice. You're there for the child.
girl, you're preaching. You're preaching. Oh my God, my God, my God. Look, it is a high calling, you said. It is a high calling. It is a high calling. So it is not for everyone. It's not
No.
for everyone. This thing called education is not for everybody. If
Yeah.
you are, look, I always say something, train up or train out. Train
That's
up or
right.
train out. You
Mhm.
know, if you find that you don't get joy in this anymore, if you find that you cannot be restored to a place where you were before, do
Mhm.
everybody a favor and find that thing that will give you that joy, and find that thing that will give and do yourself a favor. But one of the things that we need to understand, I love that you said it, is that there's the motivation has always been to help those your students. That's the motivation. Either you are a professor or you are in early years, like you guys call it, or elementary school. It is the same thing. It is if you are interfacing with people who, which, and we're talking about developmentally fragile sometimes, especially when we
Yes.
talk about early years. So let me pause and talk about this, because this is so important. The if I think if teachers, I think teachers need to go through um, uh, trainings, or educators need to do a little, maybe a train on adverse childhood experiences. And
Right.
if you haven't already, I think it is mandatory, because if you get that training and understand the importance of adverse childhood experiences, you will know that it's devastating to the developing child. It is devastating to the brain. It has physiological, physical, social, emotional,
Yes.
the
Absolutely.
ramifications all over the place. And if so, and so when they come to you, and they're coming to you from broken homes that are maladaptive, or they come to you from those, and they're already expressing adverse experiences, right? And they come to the classroom. That could be the only positive environment in that entire day.
Absolutely.
That could be the only place that they're going to find safety in that particular day. And so we're asking the educators to do a lot, which is why we have this forum for wellness. Because if you're not well yourself as an educator, the possibility of doing harm increases. You know, you
Absolutely.
you you will do harm. Hurt people. But love people too. You know, but so that's the one thing that, so you do not want to do harm. So no matter where you are in the world, and I know people say, well, I'm in Nigeria. I don't think you understand. Oh, I am in India. You don't think you understand. Oh, I am this. I don't think you understand. One thing that I understand is this: purpose doesn't have a zip code. Kindness doesn't have a zip code. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Okay, those two things matter. And when I talk about kindness, it is one of the things that we're gonna that we have to talk about when we talk about wellness. You cannot leave a legacy if you're unkind to yourself and to others.
That's right.
So you have to be kind to yourself. Kindness to yourself means that you're taking time to take care of yourself. Is that you're taking time to smile, laugh a little. I tell people sometimes, just go turn on something that's going to make you laugh. Just laugh a little. Let your nucleus accumbens, let it light up a little bit, and say, "Oh wow, there's a little bit of happiness in this house," instead of gloom and doom all the time. So the teacher or the educator who wants to do what we're talking about has to learn to be kind, and they must have a purpose. Would you agree on those two things? There's more, but on those two things, can we agree on those two, Miss Lola?
Yes, definitely. I mean, kindness is huge. I mean, I've seen and witnessed where staff have been unkind to children because they are hurting, not necessarily because they want to be mean to children, but because they are unable to sort their own emotional uh, uh, um, um, hurt, themselves. And so
Mm-hmm,
it's taken out on children. And,
mm-hmm,
that level of unkindness has an impact on a child's emotional well-being and their mental well-being as well. They
mm-hmm.
start to think rejection and
Absolutely.
misbehavior, as we call it, could
Mm-hmm,
come into play because this child is kicking back at
Absolutely.
kind of unkind behavior that is coming from teachers. And sometimes teachers don't understand what unkindness looks like. They think it's
Mm,
you hitting a child or pushing a child away. Sometimes it's just plainly ignoring a child
that's a
who's
little T.
looking for you, just
Mm-hmm.
ignoring them. No eye contact, no gentle touch, no smile, no warmth. That kind of coldness is
Mm,
unkind. So understanding these words are very important. Understanding what unkindness means is important. We kind of laugh it off and say, "Oh yeah, I'm not really a mean teacher. I'm not mean, you know." But the level of um of coldness that can come from a person who is looked to for warmth and love, um, to a child is very damaging. A child can look and they can decide, no one loves me, no one cares, I don't exist, simply
mm,
because a teacher is unkind by ignoring or distancing themselves emotionally from a child.
mm.
Teachers need to be aware of the damage that can be done to a young child, simply because you've not recognized the power of your presence with that child.
Mm. What you said is well, it falls into the category of what we talk about when we're talking about little T's and big T's. So in trauma, there's something called big T's and little T's. The big T's are those the traumatic events that we all agree are injurious to us. So an accident, a death, a divorce, somebody bully. We have those things, but they're little T's that are distressing that are still cause the same amount of pain and trauma as the big T's, but are we're not so much. They're not noticed as much. So you ignoring the students in your class. You understand? And it's not just ignoring the students in your class. What if you're an administrator and you
Mm.
ignore a staff member? I mean, you
Right,
talk to everybody else, but you ignore a
right,
staff member. You see
right.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Those things happen. Those are little T's, no, because it's not, we don't, I mean, nobody's going to arrest you for doing that because it's very sly. You get there, but they're just as distressing and they could be just as traumatic as those big T's that you're doing. You're not noticing somebody, you call on everybody else, you don't call on this particular student. At the staff meetings, you assign projects to your favorite teachers or your favorite staff members, and you ignore the other ones. So they start, and maybe that person is already feeling rejected anyway. From
Right.
what I was talking about earlier about the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, they're already feeling rejection. So you basically you add to that or you confirm what they're already feeling, and so that caused the injury to that child. Do
Yeah.
no harm. Do no harm has to be the expectation for all helping professions. Do no harm. First, do no harm to yourself,
Mhm.
and then do no harm to others. Because if you are in a place where I mean, when we're talking about these little T's and big T's in education, racism, for example, it's a big T. We all know that's a big T. But a lot of microaggressions are little T's. A
Mhm.
lot of microaggressions are little T's, and people don't talk about those things, but they're there, and they the students or the staff members or the employees, whoever is the on the other side of that, knows it, and they can become wounded from that. And so we need to make sure that we are not inflicting pain, that we do the best we can not to do harm, not to
Right.
ourselves and not to the people that have been entrusted to us, because
Yeah.
you are the legacy and they are also your legacy,
Correct.
right? So I want to share a story. This is a story that came to mind. I remember I don't that, I don't know if I've shared it because I shared it so many times. So if I've shared it, you hear it again. So I remember when I my first teaching job, and I went to for my interview, and of course I got hired on the spot, and they were going to assign me a class. And so they said, "Oh, what grade do you want? Elementary school, middle school? Which one do you want?" All of this, and I was like, you know what I said, Lola? I was like, "Give me your worst, the worst class that you have." Give me the worst class that you have. I don't, like I am here to change the world. Like I am literally here to change the world. I do not want to just teach. I want to, so I'm saying all of this. And my friend Robin, we interviewed together, and the person who interviewed us looked at her and said, "Would you do you want that too?" And she was like, "No, no, no. A kid wants to change the world. I just want to teach."
Oh my
She was like,
goodness.
"A kid wants to change the world. I just want to teach." And so the guy told me, he said, "Okay, so do you want opportunity, alternative?" I was like, "Which one do you have the roughest, the population? Like, just give me that." He said, "You know what? I tell you what. We'll start opportunities that, but we'll start you with alternative. How about that? We'll just start you with that." And I said, "How many students in the class?" And he said, "Oh, there's usually about 7 or 8." I was like, "Piece of cake." Like, nah, that's not a big deal at all. It's a piece of cake. And and then he said, "Oh, and you might even have a resource teacher." I'm like, "For 7 students, I'm going to have a resource teacher?" I'm like, "Yeah, give me that. That's my class. I take that class. That's the one I want." So I'm all excited. I want to change the world. And I get into this class. First of all, they didn't even, I was all of 23 years old to, so I walk in class, and, "Oh, everybody have a seat, do this. I could be, I could have been speaking Greek. I could have been speaking Greek, Latin, whatever. Nobody was paying attention to me. I was like, "Okay, uh, I am here to change the world, and I want to change your world. So you have to listen to me." Nope, then listen to me. So I finally, so and this went on for maybe weeks, and finally I was just like, let me tell you all something. I said, "I'm not going anywhere." I said, "Either you learn or you don't learn. I'm here till the end of the school year. I'm not leaving. So just know that I'm not leaving." So slowly but surely, they began to, you
Open
know,
up.
yeah, the ice was melting a little bit, and they were just testing me because most of their teachers
Just
left.
even go. Leave them.
So I said, "I'm not leaving." So I stayed with that group, and we had a successful year. But what I'm saying, but if I what I want to share that story because the same passion those 23 years ago when I went into that classroom, the same passion is still the same passion I have today to
Yeah.
change the lives of people around me in any sphere. So where is your passion? Did it drain? Are you still the same person? Have you lost the vibe? Have you lost the juice? If you have, it's time to pause, take a step back, and take care of you. Get
Yeah.
the passion back. Find
Mhm.
your purpose again. It is not okay if you limp along. We're not limping along anymore. I want you to stop, pull back, go get yourself some help so that you can become that person who you were all of those years ago with the passion, with the vibe that which you came into this profession. And one of the things I find out is a lot of people, when they go into education, they come in to change lives. It's very rare for somebody you find somebody who just came in because of the money.
Yeah.
you "Oh, I just want to get paid." No, most
Yeah.
people don't do it for that. A lot of people do it because they want to change lives. And I don't know of any other profession apart from parenting. I don't know of any other profession that is as powerful, as dynamic as the teaching profession, because that is a profession where you get to nurture and grow lives. So let's begin to rearrange our thoughts back to where we were. Let's go, let's repent. Repent meaning, it's, people think it's a religious term. It really isn't. Re is a prefix that says go back, return. Okay, pent
Mhm.
is a penthouse. The penthouse is usually the topmost place that a person is. Repent literally means go back to the penthouse, go back to the top, go back to the place where you were before you fell. Okay, so that is what we want to go. We want to repent. We want to go back to the passion, go back to the purpose, go back to that place so that our 2021, even we're still in April, for me, it's still the beginning of the year. Our 2021 will be the most productive most productive, most fulfilling year that we've had so thus far.
Right, right. Right. I totally agree with what you have said so far. I think sometimes teachers know all of the things that we're saying, but they don't know where to start, how, what to do. I'll just use a little bit of time just to say that um, in going back, you've really got to first of all take some time to do you, just take a little bit of a holiday. Thank God that we have some time to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take a weekend, or I'm going to take a week to just
Mm,
relax, find a beach somewhere, or find something that you can do, a hobby, that you can do just to leave teaching for a while,
mhm,
and get back your sense of who you are. But sometimes we can get so wrapped up in teaching and wrapped up in our jobs that we forget that we are actually wives, we are husbands, we are mothers, we are friends, we are sisters. And so you've got to step back. That stepping back can come in different forms. It can come in going for a holiday. It can come taking some time off work so you can relax and sleep. It can come in just going to get go and get a massage or something, go out and eat, treat yourself to flowers, something, other than facing the children. Because, like we said, if you are mentally not there, you have nothing to give these children. So you do have to pull back. But one of the important things that helped me in my journey, or my journeys, was that I found people that I could talk to. And this is very
mhm.
important because it isn't the
Relationship.
same as gossiping, it is relationships.
Yeah.
And so I found meaningful relationships. Wherever I go, I find meaningful relationships. And if you can find just one person that you can just say, okay, this is what's happening. Do you understand what I'm going through? I don't
Mhm,
want you to give me any advice or anything like that. I'm just explaining how I feel about this situation, that situation. It's almost like talk therapy. Some people actually look for a therapist in America. They look for, or some other places too, they look for a therapist or a counselor or what have you. I just look for somebody who is trustworthy, who I can build a meaningful relationship with, and it's always professional. So in that case, that sort of thing helps with um just simply offloading,
mhm.
if you may, just
Yeah.
offloading. Counselors have time when they go in and see their supervisors, and they can just offload. It's mentally, it's an important aspect of dealing with the stress that you have on a day-to-day basis. I
Mhm,
have teachers that I have worked with who will, just express, listen, this is happening. There's not for anything, but just to be able to talk to somebody who can understand. I
mm,
have places, my previous bosses, or line managers who text and call me and say,
mhm,
look, Lola, how do you do this? I'm stressing. Can you just take this off me for a few seconds? And
Yeah.
I'll do that. So we have these professional relationships everywhere I go
Yeah.
that are meaningful, but they actually help you make sense of the stress that you're facing. So find
Absolutely.
somebody, or find, some trustworthy people that you can share your stresses with and offload, because it is quite a lot. But you need people who are positive, people who can support you, not help you stay in that stress, but come help
Yeah.
you feel better afterwards, and that
Absolutely.
that's fully confidential,
Mm.
so that you can get over these very stressful days. And it's not every day you have those stressful days, but when you do, it's helpful to be able to call on somebody and say, hey, I'm stressing. you know find a
Yeah.
little bit of yourself in that sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we're about to just wrap up a little bit. So let's just I'll try to round up a few things that we or summarize a few things and then add some more. The number one, so we're talking about being positive, take
Yes.
time out to recharge. I'll also say be aware of who you are, greater self-awareness. Uh, con- Reflection is good. A lot of people do not self-evaluate. You'll have to self-evaluate constantly for you to do what we're asking you to do. You have
Yes.
to constantly self-evaluate, reflect on what you on yourself. Try some
Mhm.
meditation. It would really help. It would really help. Self-awareness, empathy for yourself, empathy for others. You
Yes.
can't. We're talking about empathy for yourself, empathy for others. That school owner who is yelling at you, or sometimes it's not really at you, it's probably because he or she is struggling with some financial stuff, some things that has happened in their lives, and so don't take it personal. Don't
Yeah.
take it personal. It's not about you.
Mhm.
Somebody's going to watch this. Look, it's not about you. It's not about you at all. It is about themselves. When it's hysterical, it's historical. When it's hysterical, it's historical. If somebody's getting riled up about something, it is about their history and not you. So and understand that clearly. So empathy is good for that. One of the other things is just, you know, um, we talked about your purpose, like making sure that you know the reason why you're here. What's your purpose? What do you want to see in this profession? What is your legacy? We've talked about that. An ability to do those things. Lead. Lola shared about leading. About that's what she wants to do. That's what she wants to do. So she does it in that position. Find what you love to do and add it to part of this journey that you're on. So just know that if you're not okay, the first thing that you can do is realize that you're not okay. The second thing you can do is get help. And no matter where you are in the world, no matter if you are the teacher in the remote islands or the remote rural areas, if it doesn't matter, once you know that I need help, then the next step is to do something about it. So I hope we all decide today to be well. I hope we all decide today, even especially as we move into the mental health awareness month.
Yes.
We're going to invite you to a few of our talks that we're bringing specialists and or just professionals that are going to talk to us about different things, about and even interviews of people who have overcome adversity. And we will talk about those in May. But it's coming up, and we want everyone to be well. Mental wellness is not a taboo. Mental health is not a taboo. Every one of us needs to be mentally well, emotionally healthy, psychologically safe, socially connected, financially viable, and spiritually connected. So those are the things that we want. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Miss Lola, any last words before we leave?
No, I mean, just keep on doing what you're doing. Find the joy in teaching. Keep on, you know, um, supporting the children that you're with, and you'll see, you'll feel really good when you see them down the line making a lot of progress or doing exactly what you're doing right now.
Amen. Yes, 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 yes. And what you said about taking a massage, if you can, we're
Mm,
getting your nails done, do
mm.
something for yourself. Somebody might be watching and saying, I don't know what you're talking about massages. I don't even have money to put on my table. What everybody can do, but what everybody can do is you can take a walk. You can do something beautify. You can go outside, get a little flower and put it on your table. You can do
Yeah,
something for
yeah,
yourself, right? Let me see the comments. Yes, I think we've had some. Oh, we had a lot more people that came today, and so we thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you another time. But there are no questions. There's just been comments, and so it looks like they've enjoyed it. Thank you for being my guest this 4 weeks. It is absolutely been delightful. Thank you so much, Miss Lola. You are just fabulous. And thank you to Dr. Monica Caffey, who cannot be with us today, but she has been here for 3 weeks. And she's also my co-author on the book, Educators Wellness, actually the
yes.
manual, Educators Wellness, that's coming up next in about a week or so. And you will be hearing more about that. And Mr. Ekin Benjamin, our doctor to be. Thank you so much. We understand that. He said if he couldn't make it to the studio, be in the audience. I know you're there. Thank you for the work that you do. And for every single educator who is trying to do their best, we wish you
Mm.
and send you more grace, more goodness, more hope, and more peace during this time. Do no harm is what we'll leave ourselves with today. And we'll see you next time. This is Ekin Marino from Ekin Marino Network saying good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.